regular meeting of the Township Council is being held in accordance with the scheduled meetings of the Township Council established and adopted by the Township Council, which schedule designated the time, date, and place of this meeting. Adequate public notice of this meeting has been provided pursuant to the provisions of the Open Public Meetings Act. We are using an electronic amplifying and recording device, and in order to obtain an audible and clear record, we request that all those wishing to speak be recognized and state your name and address directly into the microphone. The recording device is to be solely utilized by the Township Clerk's Office for the preparation of the minutes and shall be the official record of the Township Council meetings. Roll call, please.
Mr. Hutchison?
Present.
Mr. Owens?
Present.
Mrs. Stubbs?
Present.
Mrs. Winters?
Here.
Mr. Mignon?
Here.
Mrs. Strato?
Here.
Mr. Mercado?
He is not able to be here this evening.
Mr. Parliament?
Here.
Mr. Cardis?
Here.
Mr. Lechner? Chief Earl?
Here.
Mr. Chadwell?
Here.
Okay, thank you. We have to go into a closed session for exempted subject matter for pending litigation. It'll probably take us about 20 minutes, and then we will resume.
Approve the resolution to go into closed session.
Could I have an approval to go into closed session, please?
I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
Thank you. Roll call.
Mr. Hutchison?
Yes.
Mr. Owens?
Yes.
Mrs. Stubbs?
Yes.
Mrs. Winters?
Yes.
Mr. Mignon?
Yes.
Mrs. Strato?
Yes. Okay, we'll be back.
It's in the office.
He could go from his lips to his hips, but no.
Detail here. The first agenda was posted. Detail says, it doesn't say much. And then you want to explain things well. And then put detail on the agenda. If you would put the contract itself. Right. Wouldn't it? I mean, haven't they done that in the past?
Yeah, but that was before this current week.
This is nothing. This is in the detail section. This is in the detail section of the agenda.
Ken Kotowski's going to anyway.
That was in the agenda. First, you look at that.
Or somebody.
No, same. First they had Philip and filling the unoccupied funds. Then all of a sudden the agenda is switched around where they have 3 people on in and
Filling unexpired term, which expires.
well, then you move him up. So he resigned from as an alternate too, and moved up to that main position. And took it.
Yeah.
What was it, man?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. No. Dude.
You said it. I heard this from you.
Yes, I like the thing. I hate everybody.
I want to be reading something about.
Absolutely not. It's guy
I've
talk.
been reading.
It's guy talk. Which, I'm the only one you're allowed to say that to. There's another guy.
Good, how are you?
No, allowing more houses, the police. The police worry is primarily private. Because we can't get, we don't have a good answer on that. I guess my question is, how can most people can't drive all over the place? If they can't, does that fall under the same? That's the issue. That's what we don't know. Because in the alcohol test, we have an issue over there. Testing positive for marijuana, but that's not, can't prove they were. You can prove they were the influence, but did that influence cause impairment? That's the key. That's the big thing. How do we feel about that? State association, yes. That's the big discussion. So there's some states saying you should, I think it's nanograms is the key term. X number of nanograms in your system are great for everybody. But then people will argue, yeah, but I smoked that 3 days ago and I'm fine. And they would be fine. So there's no good answer. I think just why. It seems like it seems good.
You don't want to be reading that in the back.
Slow down. I think because of these issues. I know. Yeah, I'm going to a presentation in February or March. I've been to some. They say they have a lot of accidents. So no one should be off on any of these things. Just so you want to make sure that they're getting back to the deposits. Oh, is it? Oh, really? They're giving back 5 deposits. I don't know how many. Why are you giving back the 5 deposits? Yeah. Last week it was collecting those and collecting back deposits. Now he's giving back. Like, what's going on? Huh. Yeah, it's interesting. I didn't know that. All right, cool. That was it. That's all I had. Yeah, just one question.
Watch it yet, Chief?
I'm sorry?
Did you watch it yet? It's on all day, all night, and all weekend.
What was it?
Live TV.
Oh, yeah, no, I've seen it. Yeah. There was it. They never got back to it.
Oh, I'd love to see that.
It was probably a year ago.
Florida, Texas, Arizona, Nevada, California, and Rhode Island, where we're at now.
I think they sent us an email. And we responded back to them. So, yeah, we'll talk to them. And then remember.
It's all kinds of personalities.
No, I mean, you're misreading what that conversation is.
Oh, yeah.
That's a temporary budget. It allows
A&E, it's on.
My son was watching.
calendar for the
There's one guy that's on there from,
6.25% last year.
I think he's from South Carolina. He's got this incredible voice when he talks. I got some of this, and we got these guys who are very fair, very nice. Like I said, almost every stop you see, somebody for some reason doesn't have a driver's license, no identification, and happens to have marijuana in their car. And you got a tail light out. Why would you? It's just, you'll shit your pants.
People bring attention.
I mean, not have.
It is confusing. I wouldn't.
I got my wallet. You can rest assured, it's 35 miles an hour. Not that I ever forget it. You know, it's there's a couple of them that really.
But in Gloucester County, that's a big school.
I didn't know at first when it first broke, it was, I thought it was Amazon, because they're right around the corner.
Yeah.
Well, they handled it, they got it done.
Yeah, yeah, they did.
I don't care what the guy's name is. They put him down, and he's able to get back up.
Yeah, the national news, that was flashing across everybody.
I'm tired of watching TV anymore.
Yeah, it's tough. That's true.
Now the president is a Russian.
Yeah, it's just constant. It's not what it used to be. You know what I mean? Don't subscribe to that. It's like it's opinions. You know what I mean?
But they ought to sell it as that.
Yeah, yeah, it's you know, there's weird, it's commentary, and it's weird. Some channels are doing that. Like BBC One was bone here and what happened tonight.
True, but, and the only problem is that it makes some things out to be factual about Mr. Snuffleupagus. He's doing a story about the current administration when he was part of the former administration. And then it's,
They really find some people, don't they? Come in and talk.
and I watch them all. It's, you know, best way to form an opinion is to watch people actually saying what it is that they said. Case your own opinion.
It's true.
It is what it is.
I thought I was there. That's all I'm saying. I remember when they used to do this there for a while. Yeah.
The only problem is attorneys with their time.
Right.
Couldn't you pro bono? I noticed a curl line going on. Looks good.
Thank you.
You ready? No. Occasionally that ready.
We probably should. Yeah. Mm-hmm. They just go back and forth. Those two cars. That's crazy. Yeah.
Next test of the interactive TV is around the TV show
That's what me? That's fine. It is. Just to see what it's like. To do the dynamic. No, but you know what? When they put those things out, I noticed, like, when it comes in through the critical reach with bowling, that we're bowling, you know what I mean? So I saw like 2 today.
I think what's worrying me about this is the discussion for we go through this discussion, it's all coming into play and all things.
That's it. That's it. I mean, unless they get it overspent, it's not being broadcast. No.
Instead of putting extending it up at the top,
He's like, yeah, what's that? I'm like, I don't know. As it turns out, I do. Maybe. Mm-hmm. Well, you still have it.
Oh, it's both places.
Yeah.
Yeah, but
Mhm.
yeah.
I had to go down and look at my radio, which was in Gloucester car. What's that? That's pretty cool. That doesn't do that?
No.
Alright.
Jones had one.
He did. One exists.
Yeah.
Might be just about-
It probably should be. Very pot. I think the pot. Maybe, maybe. But whatever it is. But it's not.
What's that? Johnny was singing
Really?
putting amputees there. So they can actually acknowledge that they're supervised without putting that register.
Oh, wow.
You know, he said, PT hospital. You're like, yeah, you gotta get the tools. Communication service. GPS. Fine, it's gonna be manual. Somebody transits. It's like, well, I get it. It's like, interesting.
Yeah.
He's like, yeah, keep out on production line. Yeah.
Wow.
He's like, I can try. Yeah. Because you made a call. You not saved it. You never thought we did it.
I think it's the north.
I think we're saved.
again?
Yeah. Monday? Yeah, it looked like a few weeks.
It's a good dog. She's really sweet.
I tried to do my cat. So it's terrible. It only growls at us like that. Trying to put flowers out the door. It's like from a bear. It was fine, you put it over his head. Tried to get his paw through the shirt, it was gas. Yeah. He's in the back window. He goes. He's broken.
They called a bunch of numbers. If we didn't call your number, here. Oh.
What's that? That was a big fact.
Yes. Oh, that's offensive. He's gone. Get out. It's a murder case.
You want $3,000. You know, drink?
What's an electronic one? What's that?
The Mac card.
Give out to me everything? Don't be cold. And we're all getting a copy of it?
Yeah. Yeah. It's probably a separate box. Yeah, like that. It's probably going to see. Oh, but I just think that it's
It's supposed to replace this system. The one that's going to crash imminently.
sooner.
At this point, they show one page. Those look at themselves as
Yeah.
wouldn't work out. But salary, too. I'm saying if you're not, you guys want to start,
Good question.
and deserve to start, good enough to start. You have half the locker room with one line and the other, it just wouldn't work. If you put both of those quarterbacks on the way.
I sent that to you guys when I was typing. It also went to get.
Okay. Gotta tell myself coming back for that.
Love it.
Well, yeah, you were, I knew that.
I said that to you. So we should just block them. I can talk to them. Prosecutors. Okay. Prosecutor's office, can you give us a letter or something? From you? Send something out in the letter. You don't have to pay anything.
Yeah. Look at this. That came in.
Yeah. So you can BuzzFeed?
I just said it was black and white.
Mhm. Mhm. Yeah. BuzzFeed does that. Loves BuzzFeed.
Does he really?
They said 20 minutes.
$2 from that airport.
And the airport in every direction I looked at is in Wisconsin. You know, I looked at Appleton. I didn't know. You could probably Wisconsin to like Appleton, walk here to Green Bay, and then get on one of those little lanes and go to one of those regional airports. But it's fall. Uh-huh. So.
So,
U.S. Capitol.
I'm confident that's enough.
I think it's got to just happen or something like that.
Oh, absolutely.
Their responsibility, that's what that's to the other. He's after folks. That's his problem. Just the one. He's got an office in Canada. Does he? No. The one in North. There was. Yes. Yeah, I think it was, yeah, but it was rare. Like I said, I can't remember which day. Yeah, nobody heard, which was good. I mean, there wasn't hurt. It was, if there was anything, it was checked for, just checked out, but, yeah. It was like a little bit of light rain maybe that night, whatever it was. Yeah.
You know, I'm a good point with that player. See my battery on college, kind of. He played music.
That curve on his, over my career, it's gotten better since they repaid the man.
Shit, thank you.
It is, I mean, there's a talk about rebuilding it, but, you know, we're down to like a single lane. There's 2 lanes really necessary.
It's just a matter of people flying around.
Yes.
Maybe don't take their time.
The 2 lanes. In the heyday of college, it was more crowded. It's not as crowded as it used to be. I mean, you were avoid college around 1 o'clock. I think it's designed for that volume, which I don't think is there anymore. Plus, you have other entrances. You can go out to 42, or you know, that was the main route to the college, but not more. Yeah, coming right up 42. That's probably a big part of it. I mean, the college now, they do other campuses, they have one-on classes. It's not like just everybody went there, you know. Now they're spread out all over the place.
They saw a thing that they were offering free tuition for a good number of people right now.
Oh, really? Oh, for the governor's program?
I think it might be.
I haven't thought of that yet. Session in a while. This is a long closed session, right? Oh, really?
sorry about that. Went a little longer than we had anticipated due to some further discussion. It is a matter that we are not able to talk about because it is still under pending litigation. Could I have roll call, please?
Mr. Hutchison?
Present.
Mr. Owens?
Present.
Mrs. Stubbs? Present. Mrs. Winters? Here. Mr. Leon?
Here.
Mr. Strato?
Here.
Mr. Carlinger?
Here.
Mr. Cardis?
Here.
Chief Earl?
Here.
Mr. Lechner?
Here.
Mr. Chadwell?
Here.
Thank you. We will now have our first public portion. This is for agenda items only. Anyone addressing council may speak one at a time. There is a 3-minute limit. Once all those wishing to address council have had their turn, they may address council at a second time. Are there any questions? Go ahead, Pete. Come on up.
Good afternoon, Pete Heinball, Morningstar Court. Good afternoon, I guess it's evening. Good evening. Couple agenda questions. Resolution 27. Could you explain those Finance Department refunds? The 5 refunds that are listed under that resolution?
Tom, can you further explain that?
Yeah, I'm going to give a brief explanation. I'm going to defer to Mr. Carlinger. These are the refunds of the deposits for those entities that were interested in the state-approved medical marijuana, and they were to be situated at a specific location in the town. They're being refunded now because they were not, this area was not awarded by the state in this first round, so we have to refund these monies.
Exactly correct. Let me get this.
So this is, every applicant has been refunded. There's nothing's being retained. And the 2 licenses that are being awarded in South Jersey have been awarded then elsewhere?
I can't answer whether they've been awarded, but Gloucester Township is not in, so.
Okay, thank you. Second question, Resolution 30. It's titled Resolution of Need, which I've never seen before. Could you explain what we're doing with that resolution?
Franklin Square, am I correct? There are new owners. Franklin Square is a affordable senior housing. I'm very familiar with that. There are new owners that they want to reinforce the assignment of the tax abatement issues, and also they need to qualify that the township still supports it as a resolution of needs. It's standard for when they do transfers of funding from a new company taking over the complex.
Okay, I see this property is listed as, it's rated at $11 million, but it's also listed as tax exempt. And the reason on the property tax records is tax exempt charitable. So they pay 0 tax according to property tax records. Because
That's correct.
It's an in lieu of payment.
Payment in lieu of tax.
I don't know if I would classify it as abatement
Correct.
so much as an in lieu of.
Correct. You're correct, Tom. Sorry.
there's something misstated then on the public records for the property tax records. We're talking about the owners of, it's Franklin Square Village LLC or something like that, is it, or something?
It's a new entity that's taken over the complex.
When was this built? Do we know roughly?
There as long as I can.
And it's still under some kind of a property tax abatement.
It was a long-term pilot program.
Do these units, 224 units, it says in the resolution, do they count toward our affordable housing mandate?
They are in our equation, correct. Franklin Square is part of the computation.
But it's existing, it's this project, or this transfer, this resolution of need won't give us 224 units to count toward our 1,000 unit mandate.
They've already been counted in that.
Okay. All right, well, thank you.
Thanks, Pete. Anyone else on agenda items? Sam?
Evening, Council. Sam Street from Muriel. Resolution 29, the adopting of the temporary budget. Is that just saying that you're adopting a temporary budget because the one hasn't been passed yet, and you can go up to 26% of last year's budget spending
Yeah.
right now?
It's, may I speak?
yeah, I'm sorry.
So it's by state statute, this is what each municipality is required to do until such time as they adopt their actual budget, which then would supersede this and be in place of it. It's permitted formularily to go to that percentage of the prior year budget, and every town has to do this.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure I was reading it correctly. When will the budget be ready? Do we know? Ballpark?
I don't believe the state has released dates as far as when they want the introduced budget, and when we will need to adopt at this point. They've actually changed the date, I believe, of the required annual financial statement unaudited, which typically would be required, statutorily would be required by February 10th. That's been extended, so they've extended a couple different things. I can't tell you that at this point.
Okay, all right. With Resolution 33, dealing with AMR, do we have any oversight over them? Have you guys considered, that's my first question, is do we have any oversight over them?
Go ahead, Tom, I'll let you answer.
Well, when you say oversight, it's when we received proposals based on the RFQ that was advertised in November of 2017, the proposal that was submitted, or two proposals, one by GTEMS, one by AMR. The proposal that was submitted by AMR was a zero-cost proposal. So there are no costs being borne by Gloucester Township. So as far as overseeing operations, no, I would not. I would say to you, we do not have anything to do with overseeing their operations. We have, though, assisted them and will be assisting them in locating a rig or their rigs at certain locations, whether that be the Aerial Rescue Squad building or the Glendora Rescue Squad building. They also operate, because I know I've met with several representatives of AMR, they operate from a mobile standpoint where they may station a rig, let's say, for example, at Kmart Plaza, and may dispatch from that location. They may travel to town and go to a Wawa or go to some other place and just be dispatched from those locations. But no, there is no oversight, so to speak. Chief, if I'm wrong, please correct me.
No, well said.
Is it something council would consider doing? Because, with GTMS, they went, I don't want to use the words belly up, but they're no longer under contract because of, from what I've heard, mismanagement of funds or mismanagement overall because their vehicles weren't up to snuff. So, and I believe in 15 we had a similar problem with GTMS where Kennedy took over for a limited time.
I would not draw a correlation to the AMR that you're drawing from GTMS.
I'm not saying that AMR is GTM.
A nationally recognized company. They have the assets and the wherewithal to provide state-of-the-art equipment, ambulances. They've had a number of job fairs. We're very close, I believe that by the 21st of January, we will be 100% switched over to AMR. So I hear what you're saying about GTEMS. I don't draw the same correlation.
But I guess, is it a consideration because technically AMR, I'm not saying that they will, or that they have. I mean, AMR did declare bankruptcy back in 2001, I know that's been discharged. But when we're talking about, the public safety and public health, you guys made the switch over, which is good, but if we don't have any oversight, I mean, some townships have an oversight where they report in to make sure that the ambulances are running properly, that they're passing inspection, that they're not mismanaging funds. Just wondering if council would consider that.
We will receive quarterly reports because those reports were required under the RFQ that they submitted their proposal. They're still bound to the RFQ that was advertised. In there are certain reporting requirements with regard to quarterly reports. I believe there's another type of report that they have to submit also to us, that yes, they have to keep us informed. But as far as us dictating how they operate their rigs or how they staff or how
No, I'm not asking.
operationally, no.
No, not operationally, but just oversight, making sure that they're,
Yes.
because
They will be
from my seat, and apologize if I'm still overstepping here, it doesn't look like that happened with GTEMS.
No, they will be reporting back to us, and that will involve not only the financial, but also the call time lengths, any anomalies that occur that should be brought to our attention. Again, Chief, I'll defer to you. Basically, that's, am I explaining that correctly?
Yes, I mean, all the reports that you mentioned in the RFP, I think the oversight is the contract that's been agreed upon. If they don't meet the conditions, then we'll have to challenge it.
Is that a different contract than what GTMS signed, or just GTMS didn't honor the contract? Hence,
I executed a contract on behalf of the township with AMR that will take us the full 5 years to December 31st, 2022. Remember, the contract technically started on 1/1/18 with GTMS. GTMS will be out of the picture, so this is the fulfillment of the 5-year contract that they submitted there, them being AMR.
thank you.
Thank you.
Tom, so if you look at the contract or the reports, say the quarterly reports, and you're not happy with response time or the amount of rigs, I guess what remedies do we have as a township to I guess, see that they're fulfilling the obligation?
I mean, we will meet with them. We plan to meet with them periodically anyway, but I would defer to Mr. Carliner with regard to anything that we would deem might violate the agreement.
Well, the township gives them jurisdiction to respond within the jurisdiction of Gloucester Township. We required so many vehicles on a 24-hour, 7-day-a-week basis, and so many vehicles, or 1 vehicle, 2 vehicles.
Yeah, as I understand, it's 2 vehicles at all times, and then during, from Monday through Friday, it's a 3rd vehicle from 9 a.m. to 9 p.m.
So it's
Correct,
specifics.
That's correct.
When you talk about accountability, you talk about those specifics. And you look at your reports and they're not maintaining that level of vehicle presence. Then you're looking at their response time. When they come in and you speak with them in that conversation, I think you have a right to address that they're not meeting that requirement. That's the basic requirement that they're supposed to be performing. As far as their finances and things like that, I don't believe the township has control over that.
Thank you.
Just, may I add one last thing?
Sure.
Is that different, the contract with AMR, different than the contract that we have with GTMS, or are they one and the same?
No, they're different contracts.
Different contracts? Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Ray? Thanks.
Good evening, Council. Ray Polidoro from the Historic Village of Ariel. Can Council be mindful of the microphone location? Some voices are hard to hear in the back, if you wouldn't mind. On Resolution 030 and in the explanation to Mr. Heimball, it sounded like it got a little confusing. Can you tell me who the You stated there was a new owner of Franklin Square, is that correct?
I don't recall, do you know Nancy, do you know from the documents who they are? I mean, was dealing with their attorney, who submitted it over and indicated what they needed to meet their compliance and their approval on their side, finance side, at HMFA, that they needed that additional resolution of need. In other words, government still supporting the resolution of need for the type of structure that Franklin Senior Housing is, and then the consent to the transfer to that assignment of the pilot program.
So that I'm understanding this, it's a privately owned, correct?
Correct.
And what is the name of the current owner?
I don't have that. Yeah,
We're passing resolution of need for someone, and I'm not being
I
sarcastic.
just don't recall.
Passing resolution for someone we don't know the name of?
I just don't recall, because the documents first came in the beginning of December, and then the resolution of need, they followed it up as to having it given on the agenda. It's a requirement of HMFA that we support the need for this type of housing. They make their application for the affordable funds that they can receive, I would imagine. I don't know how that works. And they just wanted to know that we were consenting to the assignment, and they need this resolution of need to support their application.
Okay. Would it be safe to assume, or let's actually make it factual, this new owner is not Franklin Square LLC? Who acquired this property in April of 2010? This is someone other than them?
Well, it's Franklin Square Preservation LP. That's the new entity, Franklin Square Preservation LP. That's how they're identified.
Are they not associated with the former Franklin Square organization out of New York on 54th Street, New York?
They have a New York address to my recollection, but I don't believe it's the same entity. That's
Okay.
my understanding when the information came in. And this is probably the second time that that's happened, in my recollection, with Franklin Square. It was assigned once before to someone else. So it's standard type documents. I mean, the attorney indicated he would be available to be here tonight. I honestly didn't think there would be the type of questions that you're having, so I told him he didn't have to be here. I would imagine he'd be willing to come if our next meeting, if council directed, just to give an explanation.
Question being that
Correct.
this was under tax exempt status, under charitable.
Well, it's pilot. It's not tax exempt. There's a payment in lieu of taxes.
And didn't we have that discussion back, was it in the summer when they changed hands? I forget the time frame, but I know it came before council.
Yeah, there was
When there was the change.
There was a discussion to do the change, and as long as I've been up here, this is probably the second time that I recall this is the second time that I recall that complex has changed ownership.
To the best of your knowledge, prior to them being on a regular tax payment program.
Well, when you say regular tax payment program, to my recollection, it's always been under a pilot.
Yep.
Okay. Was the organization Franklin Square LLC, to the best of your knowledge, associated with it and any faith-based organization out of New York?
Faith-based?
Yes.
I don't know.
Reason I'm asking is that if we're talking about something that was faith-based at the time and received any type of charitable discount or reduction in cost, are they not applying for federal or state money to do the work that needs to be done?
I don't know how in your mind, what you mean by charitable, faith-based. And they got a charitable tax exemption. They have an agreement for payment in lieu of taxes that's generated many years ago. At one point, the local housing authority, or Gloucester Township Housing Authority, years back, was managing it. The last time it transferred, that management was lost by the housing authority, by the type of management that they had transferred. So I don't know what you mean by charity or faith-based.
Do we know offhand what type of taxes were collected from those properties since 2010? Any figures? Ballpark figures?
I don't have that.
He can get you that information on tax bill.
Okay. Like I said, it's, I didn't expect them to be complicated, but when the explanation had gone out, it seemed a little bit spun of what I had thought it to be, because I was just going to sit in the back and watch tonight. Thank
I
you.
really didn't anticipate, because the attorney said, do you want me to be there? I told him you didn't have to, because it seemed like a routine type transfer.
It just was clarity, not holding your feet to the fire. Thank you.
Thank you. Sam?
Sam Sweet from Ariel. Just quick follow-up questions. You say that the Franklin Square is a payment in lieu of taxes. What does that mean?
There's an agreed number of payment based on the revenue generated, I would imagine. It's how you usually see those pilot programs. And there's an agreement through the township of what they pay in lieu of taxes. And it goes strictly to the municipality.
Do we have a copy of that agreement?
I haven't seen it in a while. So whatever's been there is just being assigned to this new group.
So what do they pay to the township if they're not paying taxes?
They're paying taxes, but it's in lieu of a normal tax assessment criteria.
Okay, all right, I just didn't know what that was, so I just need a clarification. With this, the rehab, Franklin Square Preservation LP, they're paying for all the rehab? Or is the township?
It's Franklin, the LP, they're taking over, whatever they're doing.
So they're taking over, they're paying for it, doesn't cost the township a dime? And then there's payment in lieu of taxes. That. With the follow-up to the marijuana, that we're not getting them, do we know who's getting them?
I have no idea where in the state who's been approved. I have no idea.
Because it was two for South Jersey.
I heard a rumor Vineland is one.
Just was wondering if we
That's
knew anything.
hearsay. I don't know if that's correct.
These are medical marijuana sites.
And then we're still waiting on whether or not the state's going to legalize it for recreational use, correct?
I haven't heard anything.
Yeah, they're all looking at you, Mr. Owens. So, all right, that's all I had. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else?
Just a point of clarification.
Go ahead.
So in the 2018 budget, based on realized revenues from 2017, the amount paid by Franklin Square was $202,479.
Thank you. All right. Seeing no other hands for the public portion on agenda items, we will close that portion. Resolution of consent agenda. I do have to make you aware of a change on Resolution 1901-32, resolution appointing members to the Gloucester Township Municipal Utilities Authority. Joe Pillow will remain the same, but we need to, Ken Garbowski will be filling the unexpired term of Dolly Guevara. He will be moving from alternate number 2 to a regular member. Am I explaining that right, Nancy?
Yes.
Okay, and then Frank Dentino will go to alternate number 2. That's the only change that I have on the consent agenda. Does anyone have any questions or wish to change anything? Do I have a motion?
I'll make a motion to accept the consent agenda with that change.
Second.
Roll call?
Mr. Hutchison?
Yes.
Mr. Owens?
Yes, with one exception. I abstain from PO number 18-06437 and PO number 19-00033. And yes to everything.
Mrs. Stubbs?
Yes.
Mrs. Winters?
Yes.
Mr. Minio?
Yes.
Mrs. Trotter?
Yes.
Regular agenda, resolution 33, resolution confirming execution of agreement with American Medical Bonds, Mid-Atlantic Incorporated, AMR, for provide emergency ambulance services in the township of Gloucester.
Are there any questions on that? I think we pretty much exhausted that one. All right, do we have a motion?
I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
Roll call?
Mr. Hutchison?
Yes.
Mr. Owens?
Yes.
Mrs. Stubbs?
Yes.
Mrs. Welch?
Yes.
Mr. Minio?
Yes.
Mrs. Estrada?
Yes. All right, we do have one GTE Gov access question from Denise Coyne. Sorry. Do you want to ask your question, Ms. Coyne, or do you want me to go ahead and go forward with it? Sure. What is the purpose of the Gloucester Township Multiple Dwelling Commission and why do we need it? The members of that commission are Dave Mayer and Tom Cardis. And I'm going to actually defer to Dave to further explain that commission.
So Tom and I had a conversation basically and took a look at the past history. It's always been, since I recall back in 2000, 2001, that commission had a purpose of being available to make last minute decisions or emergency decisions. Let's say if someone called a tenant and their water heater blew, or they had no heat in the dead of winter, there had to be an emergency and they couldn't get a hold of their landlord. The decision could be made under that commission by the mayor or business administrator to either move them or fund them, and then the responsibility becomes the landlord to reimburse the township for the funds that are paid out of that account. I believe there's $38,000 that's in the account right now. That's been maintained in that account. I don't recall it ever being utilized.
No. There may have been one time with a hot water heater, and then that was reversed.
I think that ordinance goes way back to the establishment when the township was greatly involved with rent stabilization.
Thank you. Is good, Denise? Yes. Okay, you're welcome. All right, we now have the second public portion. This is open to any item the public chooses to address to the Township Council. Again, anyone addressing council may speak one at a time. Once all those wishing to address council have had their turns, they may address council a second time. Anyone, yes, sir, come on up.
Good evening. Tom Jordan from Terrestrial in Gloucester Township. I had a question on the painting of our parking lot lines for parking spaces for our automobiles. Our association many years ago painted lines for parking, but they're very long. They go about 15 feet. They're longer than any car, even an SUV. And I'm wondering, can the association exercise any judgment as to the length of the lines, in other words, to make it look more sightly?
Right. Is that Tom or Dave? I don't know.
I don't know if they're not probably a dedicated area. If it's parking, it's probably all condos, the association with.
Yeah, it's townhomes.
So I would tend to think you take a look at, unless the township has jurisdiction over the areas, the parking areas, or the streets, I would believe the association bylaws would regulate how that should be done.
Okay, the bylaws.
They can call the township for whatever the municipal standards would be.
I mean, that's what I'm trying to find out. Are there any regulations out there that are binding on the association to adopt when they?
I don't think it would be binding. What's the standard for a parking lot size, striping size?
It's a private parking lot.
9 by 18 is typical, 9 foot wide, 18 feet long.
That's really long. I mean, for a private.
That's a compact. It's residential site improvement standards, the state of New Jersey, administrative code, residential site
I'll
improvement
write that down.
standards. You check that. Residential
Okay.
site, S-I-T-E, improvement standards. You Google that,
For the state of New Jersey?
It's the state of New Jersey Administrative Code. NJAC. I don't know the.
Impressive, you pulled that right out of the
5:12.
That's no doubt that.
Okay. So even though it's private property, there are state laws that govern this type of thing?
Yes, because in a nutshell, in the 80s, every town had their own standards. And the developers throughout the state got together and said that we should have one standard for all municipalities, and that became enacted. But 9x18 is a typical driveway space, a parking space.
Well, it's just, this is front end going into, say, by the front lawn area. So it's not side by side, it's front end to back end parking.
Yeah, it's parallel parking,
No problem.
90-degree parking,
Yeah, it's
9x18 diagonal parking.
9
The
by
only
18.
difference is the aisleway.
But it's 9 by 18.
That's pretty standard.
Okay.
I think you'll find that.
All right,
It might be
thanks a lot.
something smaller for compact cars.
All right, thank you.
So,
You're welcome.
thank you. So, Mr. Jordan, I just want to make sure I'm on the same page. So he will go back to his housing, his community association to further investigate that information, and he has the information for the state.
Well, first I'm gonna look for that code
Right.
first and
Okay,
make sure that we understand it and they have it, and we can go from there.
great.
I think what they've done is probably, from the looks of it, they probably have met that code, because the lines they're probably easily, I didn't like to think that they were 18 feet long, but I think they are.
Chase,
go ahead.
the only thing I could think that could be different, possibly, is when terrestrial was approved by the planning board in the 70s, that maybe they had a reason for doing less than that, and they received a waiver. Because back then, the spaces were 10 by 20, even wider. They reduced them since to 9 by 18, but they may have had a reason for compact cars to go even less.
Okay.
And that would be okay as long as the planning board approved it. But
Okay.
they're probably following what I stated.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. Jordan. Anybody else on the public portion? Pete?
Behind Ball Morningstar Court. On these medical marijuana dispensary applications that we saw, the mayor stated that he placed a condition on these applicants that they build and lease from the township land on the Nike base. Is that proper to put such a condition on on a business that comes into town? Is that even, we have planning boards, we have zoning laws that tell you where you can go. We have planning boards that tell you that meet the code and your traffic studies and all that thing. But I've never heard where it's proper to have a business come in town and have a condition of where they must locate as a condition of coming in and doing business.
I think part of the requirement for an application in the state, like, again, I'm not positive, but I think part of that process was that that you had to have an area where you were going to locate it. And that's why we chose that area. There wasn't a lot of time. This thing passed, and there was literally a matter of 5 to 7 days for anybody who wanted to make an application to file that application.
Yeah, you're absolutely correct. As I understand the requirement when individuals were making their application to the state is the state was looking for support by the municipality and what location. And they were evaluating not only the individuals, but then also, I guess, locations, and that the municipal government officials were supporting them coming. Other than leasing, there was no other revenue provisions for a municipality for something like that coming in.
So the condition our township placed on these applicants was to go to this property, build, and then lease from the township. So that,
Well, I guess they chose sites that were, they thought were most appropriate and available and would give them the best odds for getting approval. And they probably were areas that were owned by the municipality. That it wasn't that the municipality forced sections on them because they had a right to say, well, I don't like this section on what highway it's on, but they probably all said, we're interested in coming to your town, what do you have? And this is a location we'd like to be in, and I would imagine it was end up being township-owned properties, and they would, we would support it, I would imagine, that the letters that came out for support, and you'd rent it from us.
okay, thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? Oops, sorry. Seeing none, I close the second public portion. Polling of directors.
Mr. Carliner?
Nothing to report.
Mr. Cardis?
Nothing to report.
Mr. Lackner?
Nothing to report.
Chief Earl?
Nothing to report, thank you.
Mr. Chadwell?
Nothing to report.
Mr. Hutchison?
Thanks for coming out, guys.
Mr. Owens?
Thanks for coming out. Just wanted to congratulate Chief Earl and the police department on the partnership with the NHTSA, the campaign to drive sober or get pulled over year-end holiday crackdown. Just to give you some statistics, between December 7th and January 1st, GTPD increased the enforcement operations, and due to those efforts, arrested 13 offenders for DWI. 61 drivers were issued for summonses for driving with suspended licenses, and 83 summons for careless, reckless, or otherwise unsafe driving behavior. So, Chief and your team continue to keep GT residents safe. So kudos to all of you. Also, with the snowstorm we had, Public Works, they did a great job with the roads as always. Chief, your officers also keeping everyone safe out there. Make sure you keep recycling, and remember, pizza boxes with oil stains on it cannot go in recycling bins. They go in trash. And my final comment, one of our Gloucester Township residents is kind of starring on a television show. It's called The Titan Games on 8 p.m. NBC at Thursdays, and it's a show of mental strength, physical toughness, and he is a sensei here in our community. And Max goes there. Sam's son goes there as well. John Bruschetti. He's just a phenomenal human being, and I just tell everyone, tune in 8 p.m. on NBC on Thursdays, and you'll see just an incredible person competing and making South Jersey and Gloucester Township proud. He lives right in our community. He has not been on yet, so keep tuning in. Then is a quick plug for what he does. But his name is John Paul Bruschetta. Couldn't be proud of him.
Mrs. Stubbs?
Well, after that, thank you for drive safely.
Mrs. Winters?
Thank you for coming. Have a great week.
Mr. Lanier?
Thank you for coming. Everybody be safe. And if you're looking for something to do on this Monday, January 21st, Martin Luther King Day, we'll be having some work details going on at CW Lewis, starting at 8:30 a.m. Thank you. Be safe.
Mrs. Sada?
Okay, well, I don't think I have anything to add after, thank you, Councilman Mignon, about the reminder for Martin Luther King Day. Please come out and work with all of us that day. It's a great day to give back to the community, and it's so great to see all the kids and students put their time in and enjoy it. Go ahead, Denise.
I thought that started at 9, not 8:30.
Oh, it might be 9 now.
I think it's, isn't it 8? Oh, I don't, last I knew it was 8:30 started the ceremony, and then that's supposed to be only a half hour.
Typically,
I have
some
not heard.
registration started at 8:30.
Okay, I'll look at it.
I may be wrong
Yeah.
also, but
Unfortunately, I have not heard differently from Orlando. I can check in with him and make sure that it's all properly up. Okay, thanks. And thank you, Mr. Owens, for the update with the your updates with the police. I appreciate it. My apologies again for the delay in closed session. Thank you for your patience and have a good night. Do I have a motion to adjourn? Second. Okay, all in favor? Thank you. Thanks, Scott.
You guys, very good. Let me grab this mic.
See you, Scott. Have a good time.
I'll see you guys.